I remember I first found porn when I was going into 7th grade. I heard people talk about it before, but my first real explicit encounter with sexual content was on a hentai website. I had heard of the name of this website through this parody meme song that I like to listen to on YouTube. And when I started typing that website into the Google search bar, I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but not to the full extent. It's crazy. The dopamine in my brain being released right then was probably like unimaginable. I remember I felt really disgusted, like sick to my stomach, that queasy type of feeling when I was looking at this website, but I just couldn't look away. I was scrolling through the website, obsessively checking my door to make sure my parents wouldn't walk in. It was all downhill from there. For the next year, I was down tremendous. I watched porn every day for over a year without realizing what it was really doing to me. And that's when I found self-improvement. And I'm gonna be honest, that stage of self-improvement was kind of terrible.
You already know, day one of NoFap. Failed.
It's like I was finally truly aware of how bad it really was, but I couldn't get myself to stop. I would relapse all the time and always be mad at myself and thinking, why can't I do better than this? And I wish my younger self could be watching this video right now so that he wouldn't have to go through all that failure that I did. Recently, I've been doing the best I ever have been on NoFap, and I've been feeling really good about myself. And if you can relate to my experience at all, and if you feel like you've been failing and relapsing a lot recently, I need you to do this actionable step either after this video or right now or whenever you find the free time for it. And the sad thing is, this is like the starting point of NoFap that nobody seems to talk about, that most guys don't do, and even most of the guys that are watching this video right now aren't gonna do. And it's to fully understand why you want to quit and also why you keep relapsing. Set aside 1, 2, or even 3 or more hours for you to just sit and journal about these 2 things. I know that this seems like a big actionable step, that this seems like a long time for you to just sit and journal, but I'm telling you, these couple of hours might save you months of your life from being wasted on porn. Because NoFap is just a day-to-day battle. The more battles that you win, the farther away you get from the habit. And if you're able to win enough battles in a certain time frame, you're going to not be addicted anymore. You're going to be away from the addiction. And you won't even have to think about NoFap or trying to get away from porn. You will just be at a stage in your life where it's no longer a part of your life. But before you get to that point, you need to identify everything, every reason why you relapse, the times that you're relapsing, how it's happening, why it's happening every single day. Meticulously write out every single reason why you might relapse, so the different things that are causing you to fail. You might still be scrolling on TikTok or something, and every single day, you're just exposing yourself to these TikTok dots that are showing their ass on TikTok. And of course, that's gonna make you horny and you're gonna relapse. You have to identify every single thing that's going wrong and how you can change that. When I started NoFap, I never did this. I never identified the reasons why I kept having this problem, why I kept relapsing. And so I never made the necessary changes that I needed. I was addicted to porn, and I literally was making it more difficult for myself every single day by not making the necessary changes that I needed. If, for example, you put like a fat person in a house full of junk food, do you think they would lose weight? Obviously not. And you've probably heard online or in the NoFap space that like using a porn blocker, or for like the person that is having trouble with eating junk food, that removing all the junk food from their house and throwing it all away isn't gonna change anything. It's not gonna change the root of the problem. And while I agree that changing your environment isn't gonna magically make the problem go away, it's gonna still make it a lot easier for you to succeed. Yes, you still need to build some discipline and some willpower, but if you're setting yourself up for failure, those things really aren't going to make a difference. It's like before, I was playing NoFap on ultra impossible mode because I wasn't making changes that I needed to make. Before, I literally would go on like Snapchat every single day, and I would go to those featured stories, and every single time there was just some like Instagram model on there half naked. Do you think I was actually going to make progress on NoFap if I was looking at that every single day? I didn't take the time to change my environment in order to address my weaknesses. So when you're journaling about this, find out every single reason, like the time of day that you're relapsing, the reasons why it's happening. You have to figure out every single little thing, and then you can make a plan for yourself to change your environment, your habits, your way you live every single day. I also think it's important to understand why you want to quit and to have a strong reason why. Because yes, you could say that you want to quit because you don't want it to hold any power over you anymore. You want to stop wasting time. You don't want to be like socially awkward around other people because you have this thing weighing you down. But I think if you look even further than that and you look at like the lives of other people that this addiction might start affecting, even though you think it's something that's just solely you, that you have to focus on yourself, this might actually end up affecting the lives of your future wife, your kids. Imagine in the future your wife literally divorces you because you are still addicted to porn. That you cause like so much stress in your relationship because you couldn't stop looking at other women. I mean, there are some weird things to think about, but they're possibilities. So yes, there are some reasons to do it for yourself, but do it for the people around you, the guys that you are going to be able to help once you quit this addiction. You have to start living each day differently, or nothing is going to change. You're going to keep repeating the same mistake of relapsing when you know that you don't want to. You could be playing NoFap on easy mode right now, but you just haven't taken that first step of making a plan for yourself. The reason why so many of these NoFap videos that I watched didn't actually help me was because all of them weren't specifically addressing my needs. So that is your actionable step to make yourself a guide that is fit for your needs, for the lifestyle that you have. So take that time to journal and make the changes that you need for your NoFap journey. So I'm actually sitting down here on a different day to give you some more advice, because after rewatching that video, I think there is a lot more for me to add. Because when I was thinking about it, the thing that causes so many guys so much pain on NoFap is just your idea of progress. I've talked about this many different times on my channel and probably all of my NoFap videos, but this is the one thing that is so terrible about NoFap. You see so many videos of guys talking about, oh, I'm making it to day 90, when you get to day 100, 360, you're gonna start levitating, you're gonna feel amazing about yourself, you're gonna become a god. And then you're sitting there thinking, I can't get past a 7-day streak. And so obviously you're gonna think, I'm a failure. I can't get past day 7, so that means I'm never ever gonna be free from this addiction. And every time you relapse, you think, oh, I'm back to day 0. Oh, well, day 0 again, might as well relapse a couple more times. For many guys, NoFap is more of a burden than it is something that is improving your life. When I first started NoFap, I thought that the only way that you could make progress was if you had a streak. Because if you broke that streak, no, you're back at day 0. All your progress is wiped away. That was literally how I was going about it. And do you think that I was going to make any progress? Obviously not, because that requires perfection. If you want to have some 360-day streak, that means that you have to have no days where you relapse, no days where you mess up. And is that maybe possible for like the smallest amount of people? Yeah, maybe. But for the majority of guys, you are not just going to say, oh yeah, wait, porn is bad for me? Let me stop right now. I'm never going to do it again. You are going to fail. You are going to relapse. You are going to make mistakes. I thought that I was a failure and that I was making no progress. But it was actually just my perception of progress that was making it harder for me. Because the streak means nothing. Making one mistake doesn't send you back to the beginning. It doesn't mean that the one mistake that you just made erases all of your progress. That makes absolutely no sense. Think about it like this. If there was a person who was on a diet and for 364 days, they were doing really good. They didn't mess up once, they didn't eat any junk food, they were on a clean, healthy diet for 364 days. But on the 365th day, they eat one piece of candy. And you tell them since they ate that piece of candy, the 364 days where they were making progress, that all means nothing. They are back on day 0, and that they should keep eating more and more candy because they're already on day 0. In this scenario, it makes absolutely no sense. That person who is on a diet has already lost all that weight. It's not like eating that one piece of candy is going to make them gain all the weight back. They know that they've made progress, but for some reason on NoFap, we think that when we are doing really good, if we mess up once, all that progress that we had made before that just goes away. This way of thinking will destroy your mental health, and NoFap will actually cause more harm than good. For a lot of guys, it's just their perception of NoFap, of the streak, of like their progress that is slowing them down and making it so much more difficult for them. It makes it seem like their problem and their addiction is worse than it actually is. Your progress is not measured by, oh, how many days did I not touch my worm? Oh, it's been 12 days, let's mark off another day. You're not perfect, you're not just gonna magically stop relapsing after you've been addicted for a long time. It just doesn't make sense. Your progress is really measured in how many times you're relapsing in a certain time frame. Because if you were relapsing 30 times a month and then you moved it down to only 20 times a month, that's progress. But if you're putting everything into the streak, in your mind, you're not making any more progress, even though you went from 30 to 20 times in a month. In your mind, there is no difference because you're still at day 0. There is no day 0. The streak doesn't matter. Forget about it completely. This way of thinking and this mindset was so ingrained into me that it made it so much more difficult for me to actually make progress. If I were to have changed my idea of progress sooner, I would have stopped so much of that suffering. And NoFap wouldn't have been a burden. It would have been something that was actually improving my life. Breaking your porn addiction, being on NoFap, it takes time. And I didn't want to accept this. I thought that I should be able to stop instantly at the drop of a dime just because I now knew that porn was bad for me. I thought that right when I figured out about NoFap, I should just be able to stop. But obviously, if it's an addiction, it's not going to be something you're just going to easily start controlling. But because I didn't want to believe that this was going to take a long time, that this was going to take a lot of self-work, I started to hate on myself. I would beat myself up. I would get angry. I would cry. I would tell myself I was a bitch for not being able to do it. I would tell myself that I wasn't good enough, that I should just be able to stop. And that makes no sense because I was addicted for literally a year and a half and I had no idea that NoFap was a thing. And think about this. After a year and a half of me doing the same thing every single day, I thought I could just be able to stop. I thought that the habit I was building for a year and a half should just be broken instantly. Think about how long you've been addicted to porn. It will probably take you that amount of time or longer to fully get away from this habit. You aren't instantly going to break this addiction, and you shouldn't be mad at yourself for that. All that negative self-talk, all the times I told myself that I wasn't good enough, that I should have just been better and stopped fapping and stopped watching porn instantly, none of that actually helped me. It honestly made things worse because it made me focus on this problem, on this addiction even more. I started to obsess over why is this happening? Why can't I just stop? And I would get so mad at myself. You probably do this too, where every single time you relapse, you hate on yourself and you feel like a failure. All you can do and all you should do when you relapse is ask yourself, what can I learn from this mistake? If you start to hate on yourself and say things like, why does this keep happening? Why can't you just stop? None of that is actually helping you. It will make you dwell on past mistakes more and it will make your mental health worse, which will not help you with NoFap. Meditation has been the best way for me to start changing my way of thinking around NoFap. It's helped me to start thinking much more kind thoughts towards myself and not the ones that are like, why do you keep doing this? Why does this keep happening? You should just be able to do better. Remember that you've been building this habit for years, so don't think to yourself that you can just instantly stop because that will only cause you more pain. Recently, I've been making the best progress I've ever made on NoFap. But the funny thing is, I've been thinking so much less about it because the more you go all in on self-improvement and on purpose and on trying to better your life, the less you actually think about NoFap, but the more progress you make on it. Recently, I've been thinking so much about YouTube, obsessing over how I can make better videos, how I can better help my people and my audience, how I can improve my social life, make more friends on self-improvement, create a brotherhood. I've been thinking about improving my productivity and integrating new habits. There's just so much to learn and so much to do. I honestly think that the reason I've been making so much more progress on NoFap is mainly because of this. Because I've been obsessing over my purpose, over my goals. And when I was thinking about it, the real problem, the root problem behind porn isn't that actually porn is the problem. It's that we lack goals, we lack purpose, we lack direction, and so we've defaulted to all of these things that are really bad for us but are gratifying in the moment. If you lack goals or you lack purpose, it's going to be so hard for you to make good progress on NoFap because you're going to have so much time where you're just sitting there either wasting time, maybe scrolling on TikTok or something, and you're just going to find yourself relapsing. If you're really bored and you have nothing to do and you have no goals or anything to work towards, obviously you're going to relapse. When you have your days planned out and you're going all in on improving and learning, you don't have time to think about porn. There is no like brain space for it. You are constantly just thinking of what's the next thing? How do I improve more? How do I improve this and that? And it's kind of a paradox of like the less you think about NoFap, the less you think about how can I stop my addiction, the better you actually start doing on NoFap. You just need to move your attention and focus towards goals and purpose. And if you don't really have direction right now, you need to start setting some goals. Think about the long term. Where do you want to end up? Think about what your purpose might be and discovering it. Maybe it might be involved with business or fitness. Because when you fully commit to self-improvement, you are going to make so much more progress on NoFap. Because you're basically going to forget that porn, that fapping exists. And that is the point that we want to get to. Because when you get to that point, you have broken the addiction. So that is the advice I wish I could have given my younger self so long ago. Scroll down to the comment section below this video and give me some feedback on this video. Or maybe if there's something that I missed, tell the other guys in the comment section what has been helping you with NoFap. Because I guarantee you have advice that other guys who are struggling need. And something that I wanted to do since you made it to the end of this video is to ask, did you genuinely enjoy this video? And if the answer is yes, scroll down right now, click the subscribe button, click the like button. Obviously, this helps me, it gets me more engagement, but it also pushes this video out to other guys who need it. And I'm also only going to be posting more videos like this with advice like this, so it's going to help you too. Never stop improving. You'll be grateful for it later.